Geometry. So today we're moving on further into Unit 4, which we're looking at 4.2, which is going to be mid-segments of triangles. Let's jump into it. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at is specifically what I am talking about when I'm talking about mid-segments, okay? So we're going to be talking about in the next few lessons about some special lines that are drawn whenever you're looking at a triangle, and these lines develop some special relationships, and we're able to use those lines to help me to solve various problems dealing with triangles. So the first thing we'll look at is exactly what is a mid-segment, okay? So the definition of a mid-segment is, right here it says, a segment connecting the midpoints of the two sides of a triangle. So that means right here I have three different sides of a triangle, and if I connect the midpoint of two of those, that means that it's going to be the mid-segment. So right here on this, I'm given two sides of my triangle, and right here this is a midpoint, and right here this is a midpoint, and I'm taking a line and I'm drawing a line connecting those two. So that's going to be the mid-segment. So right here, if I take the mid-segment of this line and I draw a line from here to here, that's another mid-segment. If I draw a line from here to here, that's another mid-segment. So technically there are three mid-segments inside of one triangle, okay? And so basically we can use that and develop a relationship to help solve some problems here. So down the bottom it says what makes it special. And what makes this special is if a segment joins the midpoints of two sides of a triangle, then the segment is parallel to this third side and is half as long. So what that means here, I'm going to go ahead and erase this so we can see. Wow. What this means here is that whenever I have a mid-segment, it's going to be parallel to that third side. And what that means is, right here, I have one side. Right here, I have two sides. And then my third side is going to be the one opposite of that. So that means this red line, which is my mid-segment, and this line down here on the bottom is going to be parallel because I'm connecting the midpoints of that, okay? And so also what's going to happen is this line right here, which is my red line, is going to be 1/2 of this bottom line down here, which is blue, or 1/2 of the third side. So that means if this blue side is 4, that means all I have to do to find the measure of the red line is divide by 2. So this would end up being 2. And that's how that works. So that's what makes a mid-segment so special and help us to solve problems here. So let's go ahead and jump over to our examples, and we're going to use this information to help solve some problems here. All right, guys, let's look at example number 1. So on example number 1, it says it wants us to name the lines that are parallel to each other. A while ago, we learned that if we have a mid-segment, then the third side is going to be parallel to it, okay? So right now it looks like we have three different mid-segments. So we have this line connecting these two, this line connecting these 2 points, and this one connecting these two, okay? So right now we're just gonna look at this one. So I have line XZ. So I have line XZ. And so right now I wanna figure out it is parallel to the third side. Well, let's go ahead and look. I have one side, two side, and the third side basically opposite of it over here is going to be BC. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, XZ is going to be parallel to line BC, okay? So that's one, so now we need to find the other ones. Okay, so now I have another midpoint, which is gonna be X to Y here. So I'm gonna go line XY here, and that is going to be parallel to the third side, which is gonna be this line down here, which is all the way A to C. So line AC is going to be parallel to that. Okay. And then lastly, I have one more mid-segment, which is going to be Z to Y. So ZY is going to be parallel, and it looks like it's going to be parallel to AB here. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that's how you end up finding these. And actually, using that parallel, you can end up using this at some point with your parallel lines and transversals. We ended up using that last unit, and you could end up using that off the parallel lines if you wanted to. Okay, number 2. So on example number 2, it looks like we're given a triangle, and inside this triangle, we are given a mid-segment, okay? And so a while ago, we learned that if you have a mid-segment, it is gonna be 1/2 of that third side and parallel. Well, right now it wants me to find the value of x. Well, right now I do know that this line right here is going to be 1/2 the measure of this longer line right here, or this longer third side. So that means if I take 1/2 of this, I'm gonna get 7. And if I wanted to work back the other way, I would just multiply by 2 to undo it, right? So 2 times 7 is going to give you 14. So technically speaking, this whole side is gonna equal 14. So now if I wanna solve for x, I'm just gonna take 2x and I'm gonna set it equal to the measure of that side, which is 14. So I'm gonna divide by 2 on both sides. So x is going to be equal to 7. So ladies and gentlemen, because this is 1/2 the measure of this line, 2 times 7 is 14. So it's set that equal to 14, divided by 2 is gonna give you 7, and that's the value of x. All right, and lastly on example number 3, we're gonna go ahead and use the mid segment, but it's looking like it's using a real world situation. So there's actually people that actually use this to help measure the distance between 2 points on the earth, and that's what we're doing here. So it wants us to find the distance across the lake. So what it looks like is outside of the lake, they created 2 points that is 5.8 miles long here. And then they created a third point that is across the lake over here. And then right here, there's 2 points that are across the lake that are the midpoints of your lake here, or the midpoints of the triangle that you've created, okay? And then right here across the lake, you have your mid segment. So what they're doing here is they're using the rules of mid segments to help them to find the measure of the lake instead of just measuring the distance all the way across the lake. So we knew earlier that if I have a mid segment, it is going to be parallel and it's going to be 1/2 the measure of that third side. So that means if I want to find the question mark, all I have to do is take 1/2 of 5.8. So I'm going to take 1/2 of 5.8 here, okay? Which if I did 5.8 divided by 2, I'm not 100% sure what it is, so let's go and do that. So 2 will go into 5 2 times, so that would give me 4. So that would give me 18. 2 will go into 18 9 times. So your answer would be 2.9. So the question mark here, or the distance from one side of the lake to the other, would be 2.9 miles. Because we took 1/2 of 5.8 because that is your mid segment, okay? All right, so now you guys are gonna take this information, you're gonna jump over to your skill check. Let me know if you have any questions.